Okay. As I said before, we got a lot of ground to cover today. If you're just coming in here, if this is your first or second time in education, a lot of this stuff we're talking about is going to sound like Greek shit to you. Okay? If you listen today, okay, we're going to roll back on this stuff a second time when you've been here about a week or two. So if you're listening today, the second time we roll around on it, it should make sense. Now, if you ain't listening the first time, we can roll around on it 5 times and it won't make sense to you. So it's real important, okay, today of all days, that you listen to what's being said in here. Not hearing, listening, okay? Now, again, if you're new in here, first, second, third, fourth day, a lot of this stuff is going to go right over your head. Some of y'all been here fixing to leave, it's still going over your head because you don't listen. But I'm telling you today, if you want to do this, if you really want to do this, today of all days is a day when you have to listen. Take one of those chairs back there, young lady, and put it next to her in the front row. Now, what we're going to talk on today, okay, are the instincts. That's what we're going to talk on today. Now, when it comes time for you to do the first action step, which would be step 4, if you don't understand these, if these hadn't been explained to you, you will not be able to do a thorough and honest 4-step. And if you can't do. So the action steps you won't be able to do. So your step 3 decision will remain a decision. You'll never really get into the solution and you'll stay stuck in the problem. So understanding these instincts today, it's vital. Now, there's a lot of things I've learned in this program. 2 are very, very just stick out. One was when they told me about the obsession and the allergy, and the other one was this. Now, how many of y'all know more about hunting, cars, computers, Maybelline than you know about your own damn self? Now, every human being that's ever been put on the face of this earth, from Adam to the last baby born, we're all made exactly the same. Nobody is better than, and nobody is worse than. We're all made exactly the same. Now, every human being who's ever been put on the face of this earth, we all have 3 basic instincts. We have a social instinct, we have a security instinct, and we have a sex instinct. And these 3 instincts make up something called self. Now, the easiest way to remember, okay, is when she starts drawing Social Security, she'll have no more sex. I hope that's a joke because I'm getting close. Put him over here. Now, back up here. 3 instincts that make up self. Social instinct. Now, the easiest way to remember, you start drawing Social Security, you'll have no more. It's a joke, but it's an easy way to remember. Social. I knew y'd get the last one. Now, everything you do, both good and bad, is based on one of these. Now, we're going to go through some information. We got to get some information laid out today to get to this. And some of it you've heard before. So most of y'all, when y'all hear information you've heard before, I lose you because you think you know everything. When we go over this same information today, I want you to see if you can get something different out of it. Mark, and don't go to sleep on me today. I know I'm going to keep you up today, because if you don't get this, you're going to get that. We don't want that. We want this. All right. Now, this program, it actually boils down to two things. It boils down to you being powerless, and there is a power. That's what it boils down to. Now, in step one, what they tell me in step one is the problem. Now, in step two, they tell me the solution. Now, the problem is me being powerless, and the solution of powerless is now, unless your middle name is Houdini, there's no way you can be in two places at the same time. You're either powerless or you got the damn power. And I'm telling you, if you had the power, your ass wouldn't be sitting in here. See, nobody walked through that door going, hey, I got fucking power, but I'm coming for 28 days. Because I have nothing else to do. If you're sitting in here, something's up with you. Seriously, something's up. And what's up is you ain't got the damn power. Now, there's two things going on that render me powerless. One's in the body and one is in the mind. Now, the physical part that they talk about, we refer to it as what, Mark? The allergies. Now, every allergy has an indicator, and it tells you, hey, you got the shit or you don't. Now, the allergy that we're talking about, the indicator that tells you that you got it, is every time you dump the first one in, you set this allergy off, and this allergy makes your body start to physically crave another one. Now, if you could do one of your favorite things, you wouldn't be in here. Now, every time that you dump the first one in, how many of y'all, your body takes over and your body starts to crave another one? So you dump the second one in. Now the craving has doubled, which makes you put. You dump the third one in, the craving is now triple. So you actually crave more after the 20th one than you did after. Now, I drank and drugged for about 27 years. And not one time did I say, hey, I think I got enough that night. I never said that. Now, is there a couple of times I had too much? Yeah, but I never got enough because of I never could satisfy. What's your favorite thing, drug-wise? X-Lax? Do you snort it or smoke it or shoot it? X-Lax? Yeah, okay. Who's that remind you of? Who's that remind you of? You need to thank her. What did that just sound like to you? When I asked her that, she said that. What did that sound like to you? Like a blithering idiot. That's what you sounded like. And you wonder why I picked on you. Now, how many of y'all, when you pick up your favorite thing and you put the first one in, your body says, give me more. And the end result is you end up on one of these damn things. And every time you come up off one of those bad sprees, you sing the Alcoholics National Anthem. I'll never do that shit again. So what you try to do is something humanly impossible for you, is living your own skin sober. How many of y'all have attempted that over and over and over and over? And sooner or later, you put the first one back in every time. Now, when somebody comes up off of this spree and they sing the Alcoholics National Anthem, I'll never do that again. At that point, I promise you they mean it. So what they try to do is live in their own skin sober. And they start a little buildup. They start to get irritable. They start to get restless. They start to get discontented. All these resentments start going on again. You get full of fear. And you start a little buildup between the ears. And mentally, the obsession kicks back in. And when it does, it overrules everything. Your freedom, your kids, your dog, your cat, your home, your car. And it tells you, hey, you need some relief. And at that point, you probably do. Now, when you put the first one back in, do you get relief? Yeah. But then you set this bitch off again. So what you do is, you come up off of a spree and you quit. You build up, you start. And that's been your MO. You start, quit, start, quit, start, quit. And in between the starting and the quitting, shit continually gets worse. And you finally get to a point where you say, fuck it. What's the use anyhow? When somebody gets to that point, they have lost all perspective. Now, how many of y'all would like to not to ever have to quit again? Well, don't start. Now, I don't tell people, look, man, I've been quit for 21 years. What I tell them is, Mark, I haven't found it necessary to start. Now, my old solution, the alcohol and the drugs, when you removed it from me, if you didn't give me another solution, I was going to go back to the old one, even though it's causing me a lot of problems. Now, the last time that I come up off of one of these, and I haven't found it necessary to, because I have another solution that took the place of the alcohol and the drugs. And it's called, that's what it's called. Say something you don't want to do. How many of y'all have fought it tooth and nail? You don't want this solution, so you go back to your old one. Now, my question to you is, how damn well is your old one working? How many of y'all in here are constantly losing shit? Bam, 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 bam. You'll regroup for a couple of days, and you'll take 2 or 3 steps forward, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's again. You take about 20 back, and that's your MO. You'll take a few forward, 20 back, a few forward, 30 back. And in your little self-centered mind, you think you're going forward when your ass is really going backward. Now, if you hear, the solution to that is tapping into some. Now, how does an alcoholic like me do that? I have 2 things. I get involved in the fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I do the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, how many of y'all have been to the fellowship part? If you've been here for more than one night, you've been to meetings. But how many of y'all have actually did the steps the way the book said, and watch this shit, watch, continued to do it? None of y'all. Now, have some of y'all had some semblance of recovery before? You have. But I think you've missed a good part of the program. How many of y'all have ever heard of Joe and Charlie Big Book study tapes? How many of y'all have ever heard of Joe McHugh? Look, he's the one that trained me. And me and him were talking one day, and he says, you know, a lot of people miss out on the good part of this program. And I'm thinking he's talking about the people that are using out there. And I went, yeah, they just ain't ready. He says, no, I'm not talking about them. He said, they ain't worried about the fucking program. He said, I'm talking about the ones that come in and they gain a little semblance of recovery and they try to stay there. They have missed the good part of the program. And I'm telling you, an alcoholic like me, if I don't get the good part, I ain't staying. Now, the fellowship is going to the meetings. And in these meetings, I get a lot of support. The program or the steps are in the first 103 pages of the big book. And what these steps do is change me. Now, if I can put these two together, a good balance, guess what I tap into? Power. And I'm telling you, if you ever tap into some real power, there won't be a doubt in your mind that you have. And if you ever tap into it, what you're going to want is more. And more. And you won't be able to get, right? Be like the damn dope I couldn't get. Now, we're going to really hit home these 2 points. Powerless and power. Now, if you hear and you want to go here, you got to make a decision. Now, let's say you decide you don't really want to do this the way we're going to ask you to do it. You want to do it your way. What you've really decided to do, you just don't get it yet, is stay powerless. That's what you've decided. Now, if you decide, hey, I'm fucking done with this, I mean business this time. The way you're going to go from here over here is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we call these. Now, what's the first action step? 4. Step 4, the first action step. Now, this is a 4-step inventory. If you look at it, the third column are the instincts. So if you don't understand the instincts, and you fill the 4th step out thoroughly and honestly. So you won't be able to do. And your decision will remain a decision. And you'll stay thinking you really got the damn, which you don't. Now, a lot of people that I know that do these steps have never drank and drugged in their life. Did y'all know that? The person who really carried this message to me was an old lady who never drank and drugged in her life. She was a member of another fellowship. It was called Overeaters Anonymous, who did the same steps I do. The only thing that changes is the first part of the first step. Their step said power is over. Ooh. Yeah. Tell me that fucking sucks. But they work the same steps. So that should tell you the steps are not designed to get or keep you sober. They're designed to change you, so you won't find it necessary to start again. If you listen to this, you would go, well, fuck, that's simple. And it's so simple that over 3 million of us screwed up ass people have got it. That's how simple it is. Now, how many of y'all come in here and y'all go, yeah, I might do it. But you know, I really don't want to be here. What you've really decided to do, you just don't get it yet. Stay. You got to be ready. You got to be ready for what's coming. Because it'll be nothing nice. Now, I want you to listen to this. If you get nothing else out of today, I want you to listen to this yet. If you stay in here today and you listen to what we're fixing to say and go back out and start using, your using days will never, ever be the same. Never. What we're fixing to do, if we don't help sober you up and change you, we're fixing even more than you already are. Now, how many of y'all have been through treatment with me before? And these were explained to you. And when I said that to you, what I just said, how many of y'all went, oh, he's just trying to scare us into doing this? Now, true or false? Did we screw your using days up? Now, we're fixing to catapult you one way or the other. Now, this program, don't get alarmed, this will be up here a lot while you're here. If you really want to write it down, you stay after class one day, and you can write all you want. Now, this program falls down to this and this. Now, how many of y'all in this room have been around this power all your life? But what you've never done is tap into it. Every one of y'all in here know right from wrong. The way I know that is because you're born with that fundamental idea of God deep down within you. How many of y'all have ever saw a little bitty baby in diapers? They can't walk. They can't talk. They crawl and shit and cry and do all that stuff. So like some of y'all. Now, if you watch a little baby who can't talk, can't walk, they go up to a cabinet in the kitchen and they try to get in. Either the mom or the daddy, if they are a mom and a daddy, would go up to that little baby and go, don't you do that. And the little baby will go, oh, wah, like some of y'all do. Now, if you watch that little baby, when mommy and daddy walk off, that little baby will look and make sure mom and daddy ain't looking and try. Guess what? They already know right from wrong. That's why they look to make sure mom and daddy wasn't watching. You're born with that. How many of y'all been knowing right from wrong as long as you can remember? Now, you call it whatever you want. But that little idea, that fundamental idea, is the fundamental idea of God. And you're born with that. I want you to turn your big book to page 55. Who doesn't have their big book? Raise your hand. Where's your big book? Oh. Shit, I hate to see if it was a snake. Get back. All right, let's see. I want You read okay?
Yeah,
You just can't read them prescription bottles, right?
yeah.
Says take
three.
one.
I take 3 or 4.
I know. I want you to start reading the first paragraph down on page 55.
Yes, sir.
Actually,
Yet we have been seeing another kind of
what page did I say?
55.
Y'all go to 53.
Okay.
Start on the first paragraph.
Logic is great stuff. We like it. We still like it. It is not by chance we were given the power to reason, to examine the evidence of our senses, and to draw conclusions.
Now, let's talk about logic and drawing conclusions. Okay? How well is this working for your ass?
Oh, so,
Huh?
good.
Now, I've never seen one person come in here and say, hey, you know, I'm powerless as shit. My life's crumbling before me, but I ain't got nothing else to do for 28 days. I think I want to stay at Woodlake. See, why did you come here? Let's use some logic since that's what most of y'all like. Huh? Fuck no, consequences drove your ass up in here. See, how many of y'all's life's in shambles? And you walk around going, oh, I'm okay. Things are fine. And if people could look deep down within you and see your insides, they would go, Jesus Christ. Now, let's use some more logic. How many of y'all would be better off here than here?
I don't know.
Would you be? Now, I want you to close your books for a minute. How many of y'all in here know right from wrong? Now, let's take you. When you get ready to do something wrong, which is quite often, huh? And you know it's wrong, do you hear a little voice say, dumbass, don't do that? Do you hear that? Now, if it's something that you self really want to do you block that voice out and do what? What you want. Now, when you do what you want, knowing it's wrong, do you usually face consequences? And when the consequences start hitting, does that voice come back a little louder a second time and say, I told you not to do that? What do you call that voice? Your conscience. Most people call it their conscience. And I'll prove to you it's not. I'll prove it to you it's not your conscience. The first time you hear that voice say, hey, don't do that, has it always been right? Huh? So that right there proves there's no way it could be your fucking conscience. Because there's only one entity in this universe that's always right, and that is God. Now, when you block that voice out, God's voice, and do what you want, that's your conscience. And that's why your ass is in here. Because you're always doing what you want to do. See, how many of y'all in here, you know right from wrong? And you hear that voice say, hey man, don't do that. But you block it out and do what? You want it, not we, you. And when you do what you want, knowing it's wrong, how many of y'all face consequence after consequence after consequence? And when the consequences are hitting, that voice comes back and it tells you, hey man, I told you not to do that. Now let's just say for shits and giggles, you would have listened to that first voice every time your whole life. Where would you be today? Huh?
Not here.
Yeah. Would you be happy? No fucking probably. You would be. Content. Would you have everything you wanted and needed? Now, every single one of us growing up physically, we had a dream. We had an aspiration, something we wanted to do or be. Now, don't tell me if you're like 4'10", you wanted to be the center for the Los Angeles Lakers when you grew up. Tell me something plausible. What did you want to be? A what?
A lawyer.
Okay. What'd you want to be?
I really don't even remember.
Oh, I'm sure you do. You just probably don't want to say it. What'd you want to be?
Veterinary game warden.
What'd you want to be? What'd you want to be? What'd you want to be? You? No, so growing up, you go, hey, fuck, I want to be nothing. Come on now. No, you're not really. A what?
No nerves.
Okay, what do you want to be? Now, let's just say for shits and giggles, every time you heard that voice say, hey, don't do that. What are the chances you would be a what?
Veterinarian.
What are the chances?
Probably a mark.
Because guess who else planted that in your head? Yeah. That's why every time you got ready to stray from the path, he said, hey, dumbass, don't do that. But how many of y'all won't listen to him? And you keep doing what?
We won't.
And when shit goes south, you want to blame God. And he's going, I told you what to do. You just won't listen. Look, how many of y'all still think y'all in here because of drugs and alcohol? You're in here because you're always doing what self wants to do. And when shit goes haywire, the only way you can deal with yourself is to put something in you to change the way your fucking ass feels. What'd you want to be? Now, let's just say when you were growing up, every time you heard that voice say, hey man, don't do that. If you would have listened to it, what are the chances you would have had a chance to be a successful ball player? Look, if I keep doing what I want to do, running on self again, I'm going to make shit very difficult for me. I'm going to start to get irritable again, restless again, discontented again. Shit's going to build up, and I'm going to need some ease and. Now, these instincts, the social instinct, the security instinct, and the sex instinct, they make up something called self. Now, I want you to just look up here a minute before we get into this. Look up here. I want you to listen. If I'm here and I want to get here, something's blocking me from the power. And what's blocking me is self. I'm always doing what I want to do. Sometimes I do right because it's what I want to do, but most of the time I do what the hell I want to do, and it ain't right. But I make myself believe it actually is. How many of y'all can make yourself believe some errant fucking nonsense? And you believe your lies so strongly you think everybody else should, and when they don't, you get mad because you believe them and they don't. And they go, what in the hell are you thinking? What's wrong with you? And you go, nothing. What's wrong with you? Now, what makes up self? The social instinct, the security instinct, and the sex instinct. Now, human beings are the only creatures on the face of this earth that have the instincts plus yes. other creatures, dogs, cats, lions, tigers, bears, they got instincts, but their instincts are directed by God tells them how to fit into society, when to construct shelter and eat, and when to reproduce. That's why you've never turned your TV set on. And at the bottom it says breaking news. 100,000 elephants have went to war with 100,000 giraffes. Have any of y'all ever heard that? You never will. Because God directs their. Now, have you ever heard of 100,000 men going to war with another 100,000?
Yeah.
You know why? Self will run, and we want to blame that shit on God. Right now, today, you got 100,000 men invading another 100,000. Now, how many of y'all in here? These have driven you. They've dominated you. And they've insisted upon ruling your life. Now, how many of y'all have ever saw a flock of geese fly? How many of y'all have ever been out the creek? They got geese everywhere out there. Geese are some dumb fucking animals. They eat and they shit everywhere. Out there in Ethel, if you ain't careful and watch where you're walking, you will hit about 4 or 5 landmines before you get from point A to point B. They're dumb animals. They eat and shit. Now, if you watch them, they get, when weather starts changing, it starts to get cold, they will fly 6,000 miles south, stay for a couple of months, and fly back. Dumb fucking animals. And if you watch them, they fly in a V. And the lead goose, when it gets tired, it peels to the back of that V. Another one steps right in its place. Keep on trucking. No quacking, no squawking, no stopping and landing and going, hey, who's going to fucking take over? Because God directs their instincts. Dumb animals. Now, God forbid, if all of us, I said, hey, let's walk to Baton Rouge. How many of y'all think y'all are some smart, intelligent people? I said, meet me at the door. I said, okay, let's go. About a third of y'all would say, hey, we got to go right. Another third of y'all would say, no, we got to go left. And the rest of you geniuses would go, no, we got to go straight. This would kick in and ruin everything, Mark. Now, how come dumbass animals can fly 6,000 miles, stay a couple of months, and fly back? And intelligent ass people, we couldn't get to Baton Rouge. Now, just think if you could get these out of your hands and let God direct them what you can do. Now, the whole purpose of the steps is to get self out of my hands. Now, how do I do that? How do I keep them out of my damn hand? But I'm dangerous when these things are in my hands. I'm dangerous. Now, how many of y'all come in here and I ask you, are you a true believer in God? And most of y'all go, yeah. And I say, bullshit. Now, I want you to listen to this. If you get nothing else out of today, I want you to listen to this. True believers in God do not believe in God. I'll say it again. True believers in God do not believe in God. They know what God can do for them. They get their ass out the way and they let God direct them. Now, I don't believe this. I know this. If I just do the next thing right, God takes care of my instincts. I don't believe it. Know it. Now, by me knowing that, is it real easy for me to do the next thing right? Yeah, real easy. Is it real easy to make decisions based on what's best for other people's instincts? Yeah. Because I know if I do, God takes care of mine. Now, somebody that knows that, does it take a lot of pressure off of them? Yeah. A lot of fear. A lot of irritability. And they can live what they call in this program a happy life. Sobriety. See, look, there's a lot of things in this program you don't really know. And they have something called sobriety, and they have something called sodriety. And people who are just sober and don't really do this, they're sober. And they are so miserable, you can see it on their face. And they walk around going, I am miserable, buy me a drink. And then you have the ones who actually have sobriety. And you can see it all over their face. Now, the instincts. What am I going to inventory in the fourth step? Self. You don't understand these, can you do it? No. And then you won't be able to do a real good, and you'll never see it. And 6 and 7 will never open up for you. And 8 and 9 will be lip service. I'm sorry. They already know. Now, not only do I have these instincts, my daughters have them. My wife has them. You have them. People I don't like that much have them. Everybody is pretty much made up like me. So if I can sort of understand what makes me tick, I can understand what makes you tick. Now, how many of y'all come in here and I'll get on your ass and you'll say, he's picking on me. He doesn't like me. I don't know you. But what I know is you're pretty much like me. And if you like me and I know what makes me tick, I ought to know what makes you tick. And when I know what makes people tick, I can get along better with people. Now, where's God? He's deep down in every man, woman, and child. How many of y'all are constantly running people out of your life? So when you run people out of your life, you're running God out of your life. Because God works through people. Now, how many of y'all have ever heard of Adam and Eve? I'm going to give you the drunk version. It'll make sense to you. When God created everything, they say it took him about 7 days. He worked fucking quick. And God puts all these creatures in the garden. All these dogs, cats, lions, tigers, bears. And he says, you know, I'm going to make something in my image. So he made man. He said, I'm going to give man some companionship. So he made woman. They say that's when the damn problem started. Now, Adam and Eve. are the only human creatures in the garden. And they fit in with all the other creatures. They let God clothe them, fed them, took care of them. It's the best it's ever been. There was no crime, no pollution, no nothing. It's the best it's ever been. And God told them, say, look, y'all got the damn run of the place. You can do whatever you want, just don't eat the damn apple. Whatever you do, don't eat the apple. Now, shit's rocking along. Again, it's the best it's ever been. One day, Eve sort of cornered up by herself, and this little snake slithers up to her and says, hey, Eve, you and Adam, God, y'all don't have to do like us other creatures. Us other creatures, God directs us. Matter of fact, y'all can go eat the damn apple. Eve tells the little snake, no, God said we couldn't. Eve said, the snake tells Eve, Eve, I'm telling you, y'all don't have to listen to God like we do. Y'all have. So she runs back and tells Adam, Adam, we got self-will. We can eat the apple. So they go over, and what do? They eat the damn apple. Now, God comes walking down the path through the garden, and he sees the apple going. He said, Adam, who ate the apple? He was shocked. It's the first time man ever exerted. God said, Adam, who ate the apple? Adam said, well, fuck, we did. God said, Adam, why did you do that? He pointed at Eve and said, she made me do it. Now, that's the first time man ever exerted. What happened to him? He got banned from the garden. Now, before God banned him, he actually made a deal with him. He said, hey, if you ever want to give this back to me, I'll take you back with open arms. He made the same deal with I said, after a lot of consequences, I think I want to give these back. Now, along the way he sort of convinced me to give these back, he kept dropping consequence after consequence after consequence on my ass, trying to wake me up and bring me back home where I belong. How many of y'all keep getting consequence after consequence after consequence dropped on your ass? That's God telling you, hey, dumbass, quit doing what you want. Start doing what I would have you do. And instead of dropping consequences on you, I'll bless you. How many of y'all wouldn't be in here right now if you were getting blessings? How many of y'all, the consequences have ran you up in here? And you blame it on drugs and alcohol, but we in the program know it's because of self. And how many of y'all in here, this is what y'all gonna do? I'm sober. I'm sober. Well, what the fuck is sober? What's sober? I don't want to be just sober. I want to be sober and happy. I want to be sober like I just put the first one in. Now, how many of y'all in here have made a mess out of this shit? And you blame it on drugs. I drink too much. I do too much heroin. Because see, if it's the drugs and alcohol, you ain't got to take responsibility, do you? Now, what I did to my daughters, if somebody else would have did it to them, I would be serving a life sentence in Angola right now. Now, if everybody has the same instincts I have, everybody's pretty much like me. My daughters have them. My wife has them. My friends have them. People I don't want to barbecue with on Sunday have them. Everybody has the same instinct I have. Now, how many of y'all at an early age, you did something like this? I can remember at about 5 or 6, I had never even heard about drugs and alcohol yet. My older brother takes me with him to his friend's house. And I walk in the room, and on top of his friend's dresser, there was about $20 worth of quarters. Now, back in about 1969, that was a lot of money. Guess what I did? I took them. I put them in my pocket. I probably sounded like a fucking bank walking around the house. I get home and I hide it. His mama calls my mama and says, "Hey, I think Kevin stole so-and-so's money." So my mama comes in, she said, "Hey, did you take them quarters?" And I went, "No, I ain't never fucking seen them. I don't know what you're talking about." And I got away with it. So guess what I started to form in my personality?
How to deal with shit.
Dishonesty, inconsideration, and selfishness. So every time I got ready to satisfy one of these, I'd get real dishonest about it. I'd get real inconsiderate about it. Now, I know none of y'all in here are like that. And it came real normal to me to be abnormal. How many of y'all, it's so normal for you to be dishonest, you think it's fucking normal? Now, these instincts, so necessary for my existence, what they often do is far exceed their proper function, and they will drive my ass. They will dominate me, and they'll rule my life if I let them. Now, I grew up in about, I don't know, 10, 15 square mile area of North Baton Rouge. About 3 generations before me grew up in the same area. On both sides, I had a real good family, last name on both sides. And I took that last name and I ran it into the streets of Baton Rouge and just destroyed it. Now, I'm running the streets of North Baton Rouge like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm doing what I want, when I want, how I want. And I don't give a fuck about nobody except, but I'll say out of my mouth, "I love my babies." And they would look at me and go, "Really?" Now, what do you think? What do you think I did to my daughter's companionship? Do you think I built that up and instilled them like that in them like a father should, or destroyed it? Destroyed it. What do you think I did to their prestige? What do you think I did to their self-esteem? What do you think I would do to him if he did that to him? One of us wouldn't be here right now. It would depend who got the jump. Now, how many of y'all do some errant nonsense to people and you make yourself believe the shit you did is okay, but somebody else does the same exact shit and you want to crucify them? Because if somebody else does it, you can see it. But when you do it, you justify it, you rationalize it, and you make yourself believe some errant nonsense. You have to live with yourself. Because you know deep down what you're doing is nonsense. You know it. And if you can't justify it enough, this is what you do. Boom. That's what you do. To blot out the consciousness of your intolerable situation as best you can. Now, what do you think I did to their pride? Their personal relationships. Look, some of y'all have probably heard this before. If you have, you've been here a few times, just listen to it again. When I came into this program, I had identical twins at the time. And they were probably about, I don't know, 11-ish or so when I came in here. And what I had did to them before I came into this program, if somebody else would have did it to them, it just wouldn't have been nice. Now, they're starting middle school, the first day at a new school, and they meet a bunch of new little friends. And one of those little friends goes home the first day and tells her mother, I got new best friends, they're identical twins. And their mama goes, oh, that's so cute. What's their names? And the little girl tells them my daughter's name. And the mama goes, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. You can't run around with those little girls. But see, the mama knows me and knows what kind of a person I really am and repeats that in front of that little girl. The next day, that little girl goes to school and repeats that in front of all them new little kids. Every one of those instincts got struck down. And I got the nerve to say out of my mouth, I love my babies. Do y'all realize what y'all doing to people? If you don't, you do now. Remember I told you a little while ago, if we don't help sober you up and change you, we're fixing to. Yeah, because the difference now is going to be, you know what you're doing. And they don't make enough dope to blot it out once you know. See, look, before really understanding these, a lot of y'all really didn't know what you were doing. And God's taken a lot of mercy on you, hasn't he? No. The difference now is, no. You leave here and do the same shit sober you did using, the difference now is, you know. And God will drop some shit on you Ajax won't take off. How many of y'all have left here and started using again and it got worse real quick? Real quick. Because the difference now is, you know. You walk out of here sober and continue to do the same dishonest, inconsiderate shit you've been doing. The difference now is, you know. So we're either going to help you change or we're going to screw your using days up for good. And you are welcome both ways. Now, what do you think I did to their material security? I have so full of fear they couldn't count on me for nothing. You know, my mother told me one day, she said, you know, out of all the grandkids, you're two of the only ones, when I take them shopping, they don't ask for nothing. Boy, and I stuck my chest out there like I fucking taught them that. I come in here and I start to sort of understand this and I go, oh, man. The reason they never asked for nothing, they never got nothing. Do y'all realize really what y'all doing to people? I tell you what, if you ever stop and think about it, you won't be bebopping around here like everything's fine. Because I'm going to tell you, when I came into treatment, I wasn't laughing. There was nothing to laugh about after what I had did to people. And one of the ways I started paying them back real quick was giving us everything I got. And I did it for them a lot. How many of y'all are so fucking selfish after what you've done? You come in here and you half-ass it. That's how selfish your ass is. After what you've done to people, they at home hoping you're going to get this going, oh, thank God, finally. And you come in here and do absolutely nothing. Tell me that ain't the ultimate selfish shit. Any of y'all have no idea what you're getting here? Where you're sitting right now? Because most treatment centers don't do this. I can promise you they don't.
I've been to meeting.
One of the best things that ever happened to me was being an alcoholic. Because I never would have learned how to live if it wouldn't have been for those steps. Now, my parents, if I was them, I would never ever speak to me again. I would never speak to me again after what I did to them. My old man, I used to go, I don't know why the fuck he's so mad at me. I didn't do nothing. Now, here's a man who tried everything to give a boy like me everything I needed. Not what I wanted, what I needed. I can never remember him missing a day of work. Never. And what I did to him, took that last name that he worked so hard for, and I ran it into the streets of Baton Rouge. What do you think that did to that man's companionship? What you think it did to his prestige, wanting us to be recognized as a leader? What about his self-esteem? Now, my mother for a long time was one of these mothers who wanted to pick me up, prop me up, dust me off. You know how mamas are. Or my old man wanted to put a foot up my ass. So I got him arguing now. Now, he ain't getting none. And I'm wondering why he's so mad. You know, we laugh about that, but when you think about it, you go, well, fuck, I would have did the same thing he did. And when I started to say that, all those resentments I had against him started to go. How many of y'all in here, when you really start thinking about what you've done, this is what you do? Oh, fuck that. Right. See, now, since you can't do that, you got to deal with it and pour through. I've got two sisters, and they married two of the best guys a brother could ever ask for. They did the right thing, and they always wanted to whip my ass. And you know what I'd tell them? Try. Fucking try. See, my two sisters, their wives, and their children, my nieces and nephews, they got the same mama and grandma. And so my shit would filter down to my mom and daddy's house, and it would filter into their house and affect their family, their kids. And one of my famous statements was, I ain't hurt nobody but myself. If they would just leave me alone, let me do what I want, everything be okay. So the motherfuckers would leave me alone, and I'd get mad at that shit too. How many of y'all say some just selfish shit like that? They just leave me alone, and they go, okay. And then you get mad at that. Now, these instincts, how do I get them out of Kevin's hands? That's how I do it. How do I keep them out? So when self's removed, guess what I tap into? And that power, when I'm tapped in, does shit for me I could never do for myself, like remove the obsession. Yeah. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It also, that power does some other shit I couldn't do, like be a fucking father. a husband, no matter what the hell y'all hear and read on Facebook. A brother, an uncle, son. See, shit I never could do on my own. I wanted to, I just didn't have that power. And I got more than I ever bargained for, because the only thing I really wanted was that obsession gone. And I struck on a mother load. And y'all come in here, and some of y'all, we gotta just fucking fight to keep you here. It just amazes me sometimes. It ought to be the other way around. Y'all ought to be fighting us for y'all to stay here. And we gotta go, well, look, man, why are you leaving? Huh? Why are you? It's crazy. I want y'all to turn y'all's big books to page 62. Now, how many times have we read this since you've been here? Huh?
Every day.
Now, I promise you, if you were listening to what we just went over, the instinct, when we read this shit, you should get something completely different out of it. Now, the very first paragraph down on page 62, it says selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think. Now, that we are the ones of us who have taken the steps. These things are out of our hands. We're doing 10, 11, and 12. And this is what we know. It ain't the drugs and it ain't the alcohol. It never was. It's me. Now, it says selfishness, self-centeredness. That we think is the root of our trouble. Now, I want you to look up here. I want you to look up here a minute. It says you're driven by 100 forms of fear. How many of y'all, when it comes to the instinct, you fear you're not going to get what you want? Or you fear you're going to lose something you already got? Now, I want you to get back in the book. It says driven by what? Fear? What?
Self-delusion.
Now, how many of y'all are so self-deluded about shit? You will do shit you know is wrong, trying to satisfy one of these instincts, and you will delude yourself into believing what you just did is okay. You are one of the most self-deluded people in the world, but yet you want people to listen to you. What's the next one say? Flip that word around. What makes up self? The instinct. How many of y'all, the only thing you live for is to satisfy your instincts and fuck everybody else's? Now, when you do that, what's the next one say? How many of y'all have been screwing up shit rawly? And when you make a mess out of this, the self-pity kicks in, your bottom lip pokes out like we can all ride home on it. Now, what's that book say you do? Now, when I step on people's toes, they have the same I have. And guess what they're going to do? Retaliate. When I started to understand these, I went, you know, nobody's really ever come up to me unprovoked and did me something. I always did something to affect one of theirs, and they retaliated on me. Now, by doing the right thing, can I affect people's instincts? I can. Does it mean I quit doing the right thing? No. Look, one of my best friends, I mean, like a 40-year friendship. I get sober, he keeps using. First time I see him, I'm about 3 or 4 months sober, and I really understood this right here. And I'm really doing some 10, 11, and 12, and he treated me like I had the plague. Did I get mad at him? No, because I sort of understood, and I understood he sort of like, and I probably would have did. Now, by me doing right and him still using, did it affect his companionship, his prestige, his self-esteem, his pride, his personal relationships, his emotional security? So a lot of his instincts got threatened. Does it mean I quit doing what I'm supposed to be doing? No, it just means I sort of know where he's coming from. I'm gonna show him a little love, patience, kindness, and tolerance. And we gonna see what happens. Again, if I understand what makes me tick, I understand what makes you tick, and I can get along better with people. Now, back in the book. I won't open your book up. Wait, you going somewhere?
Gotta use the bathroom. I was just
Well, go
waiting.
use it. Don't get none on you. I go through. Hurry up. I want you to pick up reading where I left off. Driven by 100 forms of fear, go. Go. Read it loud. I couldn't use holler, but go. Woo! Start over. Go. Driven by.
Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate.
Now, how many of y'all have been stepping on people's toes left and right? And y'all blame it on what?
Yeah.
Drugs and. So quite naturally, the only thing you try to change is what? Because that's what you think it is. Go.
Sometimes they hurt us seemingly without
Provocation.
provocation.
Look up here. Once you start to understand these, what you seemingly know now is they're not doing it unprovoked. Not one person has stepped on my instincts unless I provoke them. Look, I have never in my life been on Facebook. Never. But I understand I'm one of the most talked about people on Facebook. And people will come up to me and go, man, you know what they put about you on Facebook? And I go, no, but I'm sure you fixing to tell me. And they'll tell me, and I'll go. And they go, man, that don't make you mad. And I go, not anymore, because I know it's not true. Now, somebody that character assassinates somebody, okay? Have I ever did that? Yeah, just not on Facebook, but I've done it. So when I've done the same thing, it's hard for me to get mad at them. See, how many of y'all are so sensitive, the least little thing just fucking fucks your whole world up. I can take some of y'all and bring y'all anywhere I want. And you get mad as shit and get blaming on me. Like I can control how you feel. Look,
Man, I mean, even
yeah, well, I'm scared.
you might want to be.
I know, girl. Look, how many of y'all in here? Somebody can take y'all up here and bring y'all anywhere they want, and then back. And when they do, you get mad at them. It's like somebody, you give somebody a gun, an empty gun, and you go, hey, give it back. They give it back to you, you load it, give it back to them, and they shoot you, and you get mad at him. But that's how most of y'all do. That's what y'all, you laugh at that shit. You know, before I came into this program, people that really knew me, they would go, hey, watch this shit. And they would throw something out there, knowing how I was going to pounce on it and react. And when I did, they would go, See, I told you. And the whole time I'm going, man, I got these motherfuckers right where I want them. And the whole time they got me like a little puppet on a string. How many of y'all do that? Go that way, young man. Look, back up here. How many of y'all do that? Y'all let people take y'all where they want to bring y'all, and y'all get mad at them.
I'm working on it.
Me, I'm still working on it. I'm just a lot better than I was. Now, many of y'all in here right now, y'all let people control you up here. Now, let's just say I got mad at those people for putting that on Facebook. Am I letting them control me? Yeah. And look, I don't know about you, but I burned up a lot of energy foolishly doing that before. And I don't do that no more. I do not let people control me up here. Now, how many of y'all let other people, and a lot of the people that you let control you are people you can't stand? Ain't that crazy? But you bebop around here like you got your shit together. Keep reading.
We invariably find at some point in the past.
I did say at some point. Oh, how you get point out of time? Go. We invariably find, go.
We invariably find at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self with later placed decisions.
I want you to look up here and listen to this. It says, I invariably find. Now, when my head exits my butthole, this is what I start to see. I keep making decisions based on my instincts. Now, how many of y'all say out y'all's mouth, I love my family? How many of y'all say that? If you really did, every decision you make would be based on what's best for their instincts and not yours. Now, let's say I walk out the door sober, and that's all I am is sober. Nothing's really changed, except I am sober. I will keep making decisions based on my instincts. And sober, I will keep putting myself in positions to be. And when I get hurt sober, in early sobriety and rapid succession, guess what I'm going to have to put in me to change the way I feel? Look, a lot of y'all say, well, you know, when I get out of here, I'm going to do this. It's too fucking late. You got to do it from the day you pop in that door. You got to be all in. All in. 28 days is going to roll by very, very quick. Now, the first couple of days you hear 28 days is going to seem like 28 years. But the last 2 weeks are going to roll and roll quick. Keep reading.
Our troubles we think are basically of our own making.
The hell you say? Go.
They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will will rise.
Though she usually doesn't think so. Now, I want you to look up here. Now, how many of y'all in this room right now are still convinced it's the drugs and the alcohol? How many of y'all been in treatment before and you say, I'm sober, and you walk out the door doing the same dishonest, inconsiderate, selfish shit you did using, you just sober now. Look, I'm telling you, this ain't about being sober. It's about changing, so I won't find it necessary to have to start again. That's what it's about. Before we move on, any comments, questions on the instincts? Now, self-will. Self-will is actually a gift from God. And he gave us human creatures this gift, self-will, because he wanted us to be the dominant species on this earth. Now, the gift that God has given you, self-will and the instincts. We're the only creatures who have that. Instincts, and other creatures have instincts, but they're directed by God. Now, how many of y'all, if y'all gave somebody one of your most prized gifts and they stomped it in the ground, you would give them another one? Would you? Yeah. Would you? Now, here God is, he's giving you one of his most prized gifts. Self. Where are you going? Where? Okay, back up here. How many of y'all in here have taken this gift that God's given you and you've run it in the ground? And here he still is, willing to take you back with open arms. Now, there's a way you can tell if you've taken this gift and run it in the ground or you've used it the proper way. You would be getting blessings galore. Now, there's a way you can tell if you've been running this gift in the ground. You have been getting consequence after consequence after consequence dropped on you. Now, how many of y'all have been getting consequence after consequence after consequence dropped on you? How does somebody like me get self, the instinct, out of my hands? How do I do that? What?
49.
How do I keep them out of my hands? Now, how many of y'all have been to treatment before? How many of y'all have did these steps 4 through 9, like the book says, and really got these out of your hands? And kept them out by doing 10, 11, and 12. How many of y'all?
0.
So you really don't know. Now, right now, today, do you have to know? No. No, it's a good thing. Now, you just have to believe or be willing to believe. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first came in here, I was willing to believe just about except what I had been believing. How many of y'all want to hold on to your same ideas, your same beliefs, and think you're going to get something different? How many of y'all are so damn in love with yourself, you don't want to change? Well, some of y'all going, no, but fuck, how long you been doing the same shit for years? Because you're in love with yourself. And you're the only one that is. How many of y'all say stuff like this? I gotta get home. I gotta get home after this. I gotta go take care of business. Well, you're the reason business is screwed up. And I promise you, we could call some of y'all's people on the phone and they would go, hey, look, can you please keep them another 28 days? Because look, while they've been gone, it's been like shit, like heaven. And some of y'all are so self-centered, y'all think y'all got to rush home and take care of business, and they going, can you keep them? Comments? Questions? I want you guys to pick up and head out that door.
Don't leave it at that. I got it.
Hey, Brian. Well,
Thank you, man.